My name is Nyra, I am 16 years old, and up until 5 minutes ago I was employed as a mermaid. It was finally my first day at the aquarium, and to say I was nervous would be a massive understatement. Sitting on a giant plastic shell in my full costume, I whispered to myself to stay calm, taking deep breaths and reminding myself that right now, I wasn't the shy, introverted Nyra. I was the headstrong, spirited Ariel. When the aquarium doors opened and the line of visitors poured in, I forced myself into character. I flashed a bright smile, adopted a friendly demeanor, and nailed the accent. I was a dazzling mermaid, even letting the little kids stick stickers all over my fishtail dress while I answered a bazillion questions about Atlantica and my Prince Eric. The last visitor was the sweetest little girl who handed me a collectible box of cutlery as a gift. I picked up the fork and played along, calling it a lovely comb and brushing my hair with it, which delighted the crowd. I asked the girl if her guardians would really agree to her giving away such a rare treasure. She smiled and told me that her brother always said yes to her. She signaled for him to come over, and my heart absolutely stopped. Emerging from the crowd was Arsente, cutest boy from my school and the guy I had the biggest crush on. He looked at me in total surprise. He recognized me immediately, exclaiming that my take on Ariel was spot on and admitting he didn't know I had this side to me. Panic rose in my chest like a tidal wave. Desperate to hide, I stayed in character and insisted in my mermaid accent that I knew no one by the name of Nyra. Then, unable to handle the embarrassment, I hiked up my fishtail costume and literally ran away on my 2 human feet, leaving the kids staring in shock at the legged mermaid. Naturally, that stunt got me scolded and fired in the staff room immediately after. I never wanted to disappoint those kids, but I just couldn't handle Arson seeing me like that. You see, at school, I was known as a loser, a total nobody. Acting was the only time I felt invincible, at least until my timid, introverted side got in the way of my dream. This whole mess actually started because of the school play. Our drama club mentor had announced we would be performing Legally Blonde. I loved that movie so much I already knew all the lines. I couldn't let the opportunity pass. So when the mentor asked who wanted to audition for the lead role of Elle Wood, I gathered all my courage and raised my hand. The whole room fell silent before bursting into laughter. Eliza, a popular girl who seemed to thrive on making me miserable, mocked me openly, asking how a loser like me could possibly play the glamorous Elle Wood. Worst of all, the mentor agreed with her. She suggested I might be better suited for the minor role of the nail lady, claiming the lead needed to go to someone outgoing and influential Samyeon like Eliza. I was furious because Eliza had the emotional range of a teaspoon, but I needed that role. I waited until the end of the meeting to speak to the mentor in private. She told me gently but firmly that she couldn't cast an Elle Woods with stage fright. However, she offered me a deal. She would consider me for the role, but only if I could prove that I could handle a crowd without my fear getting the better of me. She told me to go out in public, interact with strangers, and get comfortable. Feeling determined, I had gone looking for a social experience right away, which was exactly why I applied for the job at the aquarium. I just never thought anyone from my class would show up to see me, least of all Arson. Part 2. Even though I lost the job, I couldn't escape the embarrassment. Arson actually caught up with me at school the next day, insisting that he had seen me at the aquarium. Typical me, being all fidgety and shy, I panicked and blurted out a ridiculous lie. I stammered that he must have mistook me for my twin sister Cora. To my surprise, he bought it completely. He asked if he could get Cora's number, or if I could arrange for him to go on a date with her. He gushed about how she glowed with confidence and how amazing she was. It was so ironic that he was that into my acting without realizing it was actually me. Then a thought hit me. If I continued to play Cora, I could go on a date with him. It would be the perfect opportunity to practice acting like an unapologetically outgoing girl, while also getting to spend time with my crush. It was too tempting to resist. I told him to wait at the book cafe near school on Sunday at 3 p.m., promising that I would tell Cora all about it. I spent the entire week preparing for this date. After watching multiple tutorials on YouTube, I finally managed to put together a bold, confident look that was completely different from my usual style. When I arrived at the book cafe, all that was left was to wear Cora's self-confidence to match the outfit. I channeled my inner supermodel and did a runway strut straight into the cafe, walking right past the gawping onlookers over to where Arson was sitting. He was reading a book, so I interrupted him confidently. I asked if he was reading Rick Riordan. He confirmed it was Heroes of Olympus and asked if I was a fan too. I laughed and told him I wasn't just a fan, I had read every single one of his work. The ice was officially broken. We connected instantly over our shared love of fantasy novels and other nerdy things. I didn't want the date to end, so I invited him along to a secret place of mine. It was around 9 p.m. when we got near the river. I covered his eyes with my hands until we reached the spot. Being the cute guy he was, he went along with it, even though he looked a little unsure about what was happening. When I finally turned the lights on to reveal a private ice skating rink, his face absolutely lit up. Just then, snow began to fall, making it feel like a scene straight out of Frozen. We stepped onto the ice, and Arson immediately fell straight onto his butt. He looked a bit embarrassed and told me to stop laughing since it was his first time skating. I thought he looked adorable. I helped him up, and my heart raced as our hands touched for the first time. I led him around the rink, teaching him some moves. When I looked at him, he was grinning back at me. Suddenly, he pulled me in, and I fell right into his embrace. Our faces were so close that I swore we were about to kiss. Overcome with sudden nerves, I panicked and pushed him away. He lost his balance and fell flat on the ice again. But he jumped right back up to his feet and clumsily skated after me, playfully warning me not to let him catch me as I teased him to try. Perp 3. The next morning, yesterday's date still felt like a dream. We texted each other non-stop right up until the last class of the day, PE. My eyes were still glued to my phone screen when a flying ball suddenly smashed into my knee. I looked up to see Eliza smirk. Right after that, another ball came hurtling toward me and knocked my glasses right off my face. I shielded myself with my arms, bracing for more, but the impact never came. I looked up to see Arson standing in front of me, blocking all the balls with his own body. Eliza immediately stopped, trying to look innocent. She sheepishly claimed they were just playing around, but Arson wasn't having. He snapped at her, asking if she couldn't see that she was hurting me. He turned to me and gently asked if I was okay. For a split second, my heart soared. I wondered if this was it, if he had finally realized that I was the girl he went on a date. I stammered a quiet thank you for helping me out, but then he smiled and said that as my friend, and especially as Cora's sister, he had to look out for me. I felt a heavy wave of disappointment crash over me. He didn't recognize me at all. That meant my acting was flawless, but for some reason, I felt incredibly uneasy about it. Despite the discomfort, I liked Arson way too much to stop the charade. So I continued pretending to be Cora. On our dates, he was so lovey-dovey that it made my heart melt. But at school, he only saw me as Cora's helpless, clumsy sister. He talked about her constantly, staring blankly into space as if there were an imaginary version of me standing right there. It started to really bug me that Arson only liked the confident, fun, and spontaneous heroine I had created, not the real shy Nyra. I couldn't really blame him, though. Even I didn't find myself very lovable. I figured that was probably why my mom left me and never bothered to write or call. I realized I couldn't do this anymore. I couldn't keep feeding Arson false expectations of a character who didn't exist. I decided to end it. I typed out a text to Arson pretending to be Cora, telling him that I had finished all the paperwork and was heading off to London to study for 3 years. I added that while my time with him had been amazing, I didn't think a long-distance relationship would work. Arson didn't take it well. He texted back non-stop and even showed up at my house looking for her. He broke down in tears when I lied and told him she had already left. I felt terrible seeing him like that, but I told myself it was the only way to stop him from fantasizing about a fake person. I hoped that over time his pain would fade. From that day on, Arson started seeking me out at school constantly, always asking for updates about Cora. We were spending a lot of time together, and this didn't go unnoticed by Eliza, who was clearly turning green with envy. Part 4, Eliza's jealousy finally boiled over at lunchtime. She and her minions cornered me in the cafeteria, mocking me for sitting alone and asking if Arson had abandoned me. I tried to ignore her and just eat my lunch, but she wouldn't let up. She actually snatched the spoon right out of my hand and pulled out her phone. She started a video call with Arson and loudly lied to him, pointing the camera at me and claiming I was obsessed with him and followed him around like a creepy stalker. Everyone in the cafeteria turned to stare, judging me for something that wasn't even true. I was suddenly done with being Nyra the loser. I wished I had Cora's strength to stand up for myself, and then I realized I could just borrow it. I smashed my fist onto the table, silencing the room. I stood up and told Eliza to shut up. I demanded to know why she was making things up about me, asking her point blank if she was just jealous. She looked stunned and started to stutter, so I pressed on. I told her it was obvious she liked Arson, and called her pathetic for picking on everyone he talked to. The tables turned instantly. People started making disapproving comments at Eliza, and she had no choice but to run away in shame with her minions trailing behind her. Suddenly, I was being praised for standing up to the school's tyrant. People seemed to love this new, fiery side of me, so I decided it was time for a full makeover. The next day, I ditched my nerdy glasses for contact lenses and started dressing boldly. My classmates loved the new look, and even my drama club mentor completely changed her attitude toward me. I applied for the student council, and as my popularity grew, so did my circle of friends. The world seemed to open up to me, but weirdly, being around people all the time felt uncomfortable and exhausting. I couldn't really talk to any of them because we weren't actually close. I just felt left out in the middle of a crowd. Things got even more intense when the student council organized a charity date auction to raise money for a new cafeteria. Being on the committee meant I was appointed as a bachelorette. The idea of people bidding money to take me on a date completely freaked me out, but I had to go through with it. I stood on stage trying my best to act cool and raise as much money as possible. The boys cheered, trying to show off their charm, and I forced myself to flirt back, winking and talking nonsense just to keep the energy up. Once the bidding started, it was total chaos. People kept raising their paddles, shouting out $40, then $60, then $8. The noise around me became overwhelming. It suddenly hit me that I didn't want to go on a date with any of these guys. I didn't know them at all. I was starting to panic when a familiar voice shouted from the back of the room, $500. The entire room went silent. It was Arson. The host quickly yelled before anyone could recover from the shock. Arson jumped onto the stage, grabbed my hand, and dragged me out of there before I could even process what had just happened. Part 5. He dragged me all the way to the school garden by the fountain before finally letting go. He looked at me intensely and started firing off questions, asking what was going on with me lately, because it felt like I was someone else entirely. I tried to deny it, stammering that I was just the same old Nyra, but he didn't believe me. He grabbed my shoulders and demanded the truth, asking if I was actually Cora. He had convinced himself that Cora had switched places with her sister to protect her. Before I could say anything, he pulled me into a tight hug and told me how much he had missed me. My heart broke. After all this time, he was still in love with Cora. Even now, after I had changed my entire look and personality, he still didn't see me as Nyra. He only saw the girl he wanted me to be. With tears in my eyes, I pushed him away, told him I couldn't do this, and ran out of the garden. After crying myself to sleep that night, I went back to school the next day only to find myself summoned to the principal's office. Eliza was there, smirking. She showed the principal a video recording of my conversation with Arson from the night before, claiming it was proof that someone else had been taking classes in my place. If they believed I was letting an outsider attend school for me, I could be expelled. Panic set in. I couldn't tell them the truth about the fake dating, so I blurted out a desperate lie. I told them I had bipolar disorder and that sometimes I switched to a different persona and acted out. The principal seemed confused, but she insisted I see the school therapist. I had no choice but to agree. Surprisingly, therapy was exactly what I needed. Through talking to the therapist, I finally opened up about my past. I explained that ever since I was a kid, I had always been super shy. I confessed that I truly believed my shyness was the reason my mom left me behind when she split from my dad. She hadn't contacted me once, and I was convinced that a childish nerd like me just wasn't someone she wanted to talk to. Thank goodness my dad came to pick me up after the session, because the thought of facing my so-called friends on the bus was making me nauseous. In the car, he asked if I was really that unhappy not having my mother around. I couldn't hold it in anymore. I told him I just didn't know why she left me behind without a single word, asking through tears if I was just a loser in her eyes. Dad stopped the car right in front of our house and turned to face me. He told me to listen to him and insisted that Mom loved me. He revealed that the reason I never received any letters from her was because he had hidden them all from me. I was shocked. I asked him why he would do something like that. He admitted that he was so broken after Mom left that he thought it would be better if both of us could just forget everything about her. He apologized, but the damage was done. I was angry and hurt. I yelled at him, asking if he had any idea how terrible I had felt about myself all those years just because of his selfishness. I couldn't even look at him, so I ran straight into the house. But when I burst into the living room, I froze. My mom and my twin sister Cora were sitting right there. They both rushed toward me and pulled me into a huge hug. Seeing them made me realize that the Cora character I played wasn't entirely made up. I had based her on my real-life twin. When we were 5 years old, I always stuck by Cora's side, hiding behind her dress while she boldly stood up against anyone who dared to pick on me. I had always looked up to her. Part 6. It turned out that when my dad got the alarming call from the school about my split personality, he finally realized just how much his selfishness had hurt me. He did everything in his power to contact my mom and immediately brought her and Cora over from LA to see me. Mom kept apologizing, telling me through her tears that she regretted every single minute of leaving me behind. Seeing my family break down like that ached my heart, but it also gave me a warm sense of relief. After all these years, our family feud was finally resolved. Just as we were having this emotional moment, the doorbell rang. I opened it to find Arson standing there. My sister Cora peeked over my shoulder and teasingly asked if that was my boyfriend. Arson looked completely dumbfounded, his eyes darting between me and the identical girl standing behind. Realizing the jig was up, I dragged him away immediately so I could finally explain everything. I poured out the whole truth. I admitted that I had lied about the girl at the aquarium being Cora because I didn't think he would ever like the real, unconfident me. I told him that despite the lies, my feelings for him had been real the entire time, which was why I tried so hard to get close to him. I figured that now he knew the truth, he would want nothing to do with me. So I finished my explanation and prepared to walk away. I spent the entire winter break in LA with my mom and Cora, taking time to figure myself out. Standing in the airport after landing back in my hometown, I felt bright and hopeful. I realized that being an introvert was nothing to be self-conscious about. In fact, being observant would actually help a lot with my passion for acting. I walked through the arrivals hall, determined to impress my drama club mentor this semester, and promising myself that no boys would ever distract me again. But that promise was broken instantly when I spotted Arson waving at me with a huge bouquet of flowers in his hand. I walked over to him confused and asked why he was there, admitting I thought he was still mad at me. He explained that he had thought about everything a lot. He admitted that things between us had gotten messy, but said he wanted to get to know me again. He asked if we could start over, but this time, he wanted to know what the real Nyra was all about. I gave him a shy smile and told him I would love that.